Good morning, dear citizens. Operator Starsky here. I decided to check out the morning news like I usually do, and I thought, why not do it together, right? Why do I have to suffer myself? So, good morning, everybody. I hope that you have your coffee. I have mine. I also have a bunch of peanuts here, just in case I get hungry. And I decided to check out, of course, the recent updates from Ukraine. I think if we keep this morning show running, because I think it's a good idea, most of other YouTubers most probably are asleep because they were streaming whole night, I suppose. And if we keep this stuff running, then I think it will be a good tradition to generally in the beginning talk about the most recent updates from Ukraine, right? And oh my God, we have all the friends there in the chat already. Proper people don't sleep in the morning, right? So, without further ado, first of all, we have some of the biggest combined missile and drone strikes that took place this year. We have information, and it was published literally just a couple of minutes ago by the Air Force, by the Ukrainian Air Force. They report that 643 aerial targets were shot tonight at Ukraine, and the attack lasted longer than 12 hours. And they report that the Russians were using both drones and missiles, including Shahid drones, Gerbera, other types of UAVs, and also missiles launched from aerial and naval platforms. So they say that there were also two aerial ballistic missiles like Kinjal, 38 cruise missiles X-101, Ha-101, and 8 cruise missiles Caliber shot from the Black Sea. And the Air Force of Ukraine reports that 611 targets were intercepted out of 643, which is a good result, of course, but basically the dynamic is pretty much the same. I can say that Ukrainian Air Force is intercepting more than 70% of all the aerial targets, keeps this dynamic. And we already have information that some of the Patriot systems that were used by Israel, they were delivered to Ukraine as far as I remember. And soon two more systems will be delivered, but I'm not sure if they're talking about the systems or launchers, because those are different things. The batteries, like the whole combination of radar system, the tracking station, and the missiles. And Claire there, hello, nice to see you too. And the launcher is a launcher, basically. It's also needed, but yeah, so here we have another update that more than 12 hours this attack lasted. More than 40 missiles were launched, including Kinjals, according to Ukrainian President Zelensky. And in Ukraine, at least 40 people were wounded due to this attack. The main areas that were targeted were Kyiv Oblast, Zaporizhia, Khmelnytsk, Sumy, Mykolaiv, Chernihiv, and Odessa. And also cardiology, oh my God. So also in Kyiv, an Institute of Cardiology. Hey, good morning. The Institute of Cardiology has been hit as well. I know where it's located. So the Institute of Cardiology has been hit in Ukrainian capital. Now, there are 4 deceased as of now, as of 9:34 Ukrainian time, according to the Ukrainian Rescue Service. And yeah, we can see some of the videos. This is a fire in Kiev, in some of the objects that were hit tonight. It's, yeah, I think something like a mall or a storage facility or a warehouse. Judging from the buildings on the background, I think it's somewhere around Kharkivsky district, maybe. Looks like Kharkivsky district to me personally. In Moldova, we have elections, all right. Those are parliamentary elections. 14 parties will participate, including 4 blocs and 4 independent candidates. And the main struggle is taking place between the pro-European Party Action and Solidarity, or PAS, represented by Sandu, and also the so-called Patriotic Bloc that involves a lot of pro-Russian forces. As you can see, all far left, far right that you encounter nowadays, they are basically funded or fans of Russian terrorism. And one more political party may pass into the parliament in Moldova, which is so-called Our Party of Renat Usati, which will become coalition partner in case none of the parties gains the majority of the voices. He is quiet. Who is quiet, Ellie? Let me know. If it's my mic, I don't think it's quiet. I can see levels. They must be fine. There's like whole army of moderators. There are Katie, Newman, Ali. Oh my God, guys, don't you sleep. So what else do we have here? Due to the most recent drone incursions in countries like Denmark, NATO announced a reinforcing of the mission of Baltic Guard. And this reinforcement, this improvement, expansion of this mission took place because of the UAV incurring Denmark. Okay, audio is good. Thank you so much, Paul and Cranky. All right. So this week, actually, it was crazy, my friends. I saw a lot of updates mentioning incursion of different sorts of drones, not only the big drones that could be observed in Denmark, also Oslo, but also other drones and smaller UAVs. Actually, I think it will be a good idea to calculate how many of those drones were spotted and where this week. We have more updates on the tonight's attack in Kyiv. It is reported that buildings and civilian infrastructure in Solomensky, Svetoshinsky, Holosivsky, Darnetsky, and Dniprovsky districts was damaged. Darnetsky, that's basically where I lived. In Solomensky, there was a strike on a 5-story building. A 12-year-old girl was unfortunately found dead, and also it mentions that the Cardiology Institute was hit in Solomensky. In Holosivsky, there was an attack on a smaller house, like a country house. In Svetoshin, there was debris falling on the open territory. Luckily, not much damage. In Dniprovsky, two parked cars were set on fire, and also in Darnitsky district, a building of I believe either a kindergarten or an elementary school was damaged due to the Russian attack. We can see the photos of this of the results of this attack. That's from the Rescue Service of Ukraine. Yes, so we have some more information on the attack on Kyiv due to the strike. Residential complex in Petropavlovsk-Borщagivka was damaged, and it says that it sustained severe damage. Also in Fastiv, there was a fire on an enterprise. 5 people were wounded. Bila Tserkva, that's south of Kyiv, a city like 100 kilometers south of Kyiv. There was a fire in the residential building, and 6 cars were destroyed. And also, yes, Obuchiv, the enterprise and the garage, they were damaged. The amount of damage, as you can probably see on your screens, is it's impressive. Also, we have reports from Zaporizhia, where 21 civilians were injured due to the Russian strike, including 2 kids. There was a fire in the 9-story building, and rescuers helped 32 people, including 4 kids. Here again, we can see the footage of the result of the Russian strike on the civilian quarters in Ukraine. And another update, so drones were also spotted again. It's not necessarily Russian drones, but if not Russians, they must be Martian drones, right? So the drones were spotted over the biggest airfield of Norway. So early morning of Saturday, several UAVs were spotted over the airfield of Ørland, which is the key airbase in Norway, where F-35 fighter jets are located. We have another rather interesting update from London, where Russian hackers snatched information about 8,000 kids. So the Russia-related hacker group Radiant already published a bunch of names, pictures, home addresses, and contact information of families of 10 British kids. They say that the next step will be publishing 30 more profiles on each child and 100 members of the staff of the kindergarten. This is what the Russian hackers Radiant say. And at this point, they don't say which exactly sum of money they want from this company, from this network of those kindergartens, in order to keep their information secret. Why do Russians snatch information of British kids? That, again, remains a mystery to me, but basically, the other day I said in that group, we have like a very interesting group here, I said that basically Soviet Union is like a big, stinking, ugly, fat ass. Like, there's absolutely nothing good about it, but perverts love it. I think we can say the same about the Terrorist Federation in general. Please let me know if you agree with that. So, Minister of Interior of Germany, Herr Dobrindt, said that on Friday over the Schleswig-Holstein, a swarm of drones was located. So he says that obviously there is a spy element related to those drones flying over the different strategic objects in Germany. And also he planned initiatives that will be presented already this autumn regarding countering those drones. They will include expanding of the Bundeswehr's actions in fighting those drones and also locating them and intercepting them. So also Minister of Interior said that he will introduce the center of the countering drones, and he said that it should be established very, very fast, which is obvious. I think that, looking at how exactly Russia is acting nowadays, I think that it should have been established already last year in most of the European countries. We have another update from OSCE that published its report regarding the Russian military crimes against Ukrainian prisoners of war. The report, the investigation has been made by the experts in the international legislation coming from France, Czechia, and Sweden. Their responsibility was to study the possible violations of international humanitarian law, people's rights, human rights, and also military crimes and crimes against humanity. So the mission stated that terror Russia systematically refuses Russia systematically refuses to give Ukrainian soldiers that were captured the status of prisoners of war, instead calling them individuals that were captured for countering the special military operation. So this creates a different ground for illegal criminal prosecution of Ukrainian prisoners of war only for participating in the military action. And according to this mission, this practice is completely wrong and it goes against the international humanitarian law and including the Geneva Convention. So in the report of OSCE, it is stated that a lot of facts of executions and basically murder Ukrainian prisoners of war after capture were recorded, as well as tortures. According to the experts, the tortures are extremely widespread and systematic practice committed by the Russians, and it's absolutely tolerated by the Russian state establishments. The experts of the OSCE also said that conditions of detaining Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian prisoners of war, do not correspond to the international standards. They're usually kept in overfilled, overcrowded facilities. They don't have any independent international medical help, no proper food or hygiene, which is again 100% something that all the former prisoners of the Russian prisons, all of the former Ukrainian prisoners of war, were talking about things that I've heard from other guys, from Bogdan specifically. Everything corresponds. One thing that not a lot of people know about actually is that Ukrainian prisoners of war that were captured by Russians have never seen any representative of the International Red Cross. They just don't go there. They just either not allowed to visit them, or they just don't care. And generally speaking, considering what kind of people work, for example, in the Kyiv office of the International Red Cross, we're talking about people from places like Syria, and I'm talking about Bashar Assad times, people from Cuba, people from Serbia, who openly say, like, we don't care much. We just work, we're just receiving salaries here. So I'm not even impressed. Interesting thing. So orcs found a survived Ukrainian drone that was carrying FPV drones. And this drone, it was a naval drone that was involved into the attack on the Russian port of Tuapse on 24th of September. So, according to the orcs, on board of this drone there were shelves with FPV drones guided by fiber optic wire that were launched from those shelves. And apparently this is how the defenders of Ukraine can use FPV drones already on the territory of the Russian Krasnodarsk region, striking the coastal facilities using the FPV drones, which is very, very interesting. And I think here they also have like a video. Let me make it more visible for you, my friends. Yeah, so that is a drone that survived. Basically, you can see a bunch of boxes with shelves on board on its deck. That to me looks like a control tower. Andre Silva says, I just put Dennis on pause to watch you. Is Dennis streaming right now? Don't tell me he does, because I think, Rick, hello my friend, Rick is in the chat. Because I think I saw Dennis like streaming late in the night, and I thought, probably it will be a good idea to stream myself while he's asleep. We have some very interesting update. Before we talk about it, so let's also check out some of the footage of those FPV drones that were captured on board of this survived Ukrainian naval drone. That big container to me looks like a container with explosives, probably thermobaric charge, maybe fragmentation charge. I am not really sure, but judging from the very frame of this drone, it's very light and it can carry a lot of weight actually. So yeah, this is what it looked like in the shelf, in those boxes. So basically they were stored there. I believe that this drone basically approaches the target, then launches the drones that are guided by fiber optic cables, and then they just attack everything, probably some specific targets located in the docks, like it was during the Operation Spiderweb. Rick says, I wonder if this naval drone had a self-destruction mechanism and if it just didn't work. I believe so. Like logically you should install something like that. But on the other hand, from what I can see here, like if you take a closer look at the boxes, all right, like like over there, for example, you can see a lot of bullet holes in it. So maybe it was just damaged so much so it couldn't function, couldn't self-destruct. Also, we have some very interesting update, and this one is, by the way, I would say it's very, very important. So, General Staff of Ukraine yesterday showcased a track of the Hungarian drone that that incurred Ukrainian airspace. And this is actually very interesting because from what I saw, there were actually either one drone used 2 times or there were 2 different drones that incurred Ukrainian airspace from Hungary, and they went all the way to like Mukachevo. I'm not sure if I have this map right here. Yeah, but what is the reason? Why does Hungary use surveillance drones flying into Ukrainian airspace? Are they preparing for something? I don't know. Or are they just conducting surveillance of Western Ukrainian, of Zakarpattia region, where most probably Ukraine keeps a lot of its internal refugees, where Ukraine also keeps a lot of its logistical hubs. It's a really good question, guys. Let me know what you think about it, because it's a disturbing fact. It's a disturbing fact that Hungarians are using surveillance drones to incur Ukrainian airspace. Another bunch of drones has been spotted on September 27, which was yesterday night in Sweden. So the naval forces of Sweden noticed unknown drones flying over the Swedish archipelago of Karlskrona, and there is a military base located not far from this archipelago. So, according to the Swedish law enforcement, 2 drones had red and green lights installed on them, which basically means that they were not military drones, for example, like Gerbera or something like that. But on the other hand, you know, guys, I remember when we were deployed in 2016, 2017 in winter, when we were deployed in Luhansk Oblast, and basically Russian air base of Millerovo was like maybe 10 kilometers from us. And I remember Russians were already back then, 2016, 17, they were already back then launching their reconnaissance drones like Orlans over our territory, specifically over the territory where my brigade was dislocated, because apparently they wanted to conduct reconnaissance of our area, of our troops, understand how many of personnel, how many tanks and armored vehicles we have there. And I remember that I personally saw those drones flying, and they had navigational lights installed on them, which is something I cannot explain to this day. I definitely remember red lights, seeing red lights on those drones, and it works like that. The Russian radio electronic warfare is working like most of the day, which means that your internet sucks, your mobile connection sucks, your mobile internet sucks, and stuff like that. Then at night we are on patrol. I was a sergeant, I patrolled with everyone else, and we are outside at night during the patrol. It's freaking minus 35 Celsius, and all of a sudden I receive a bunch of SMS messages and internet messages, because all of a sudden our internet starts working and we can see a drone taking off and flying towards us from the Russian territory. So we could observe them using the night vision equipment like night vision goggles, and also you could observe this drone with your own eyes because it had like blinking red light installed on it. Again, something I cannot really explain, because generally if you're flying a reconnaissance drone, you don't really want to have any working lights on it because you don't want to expose this drone. But Russians really did. I saw it with my own eyes. So that is something I cannot understand. Please let me know if you have any ideas. And it's not like it had green and red light, indicating like green side, red side of it, but it literally had just red blinking light below. So Mike, I will most probably hide this one. Michael Peterson says, I live near an airbase in that region. I heard 2 odd explosion sounds tonight, but have not heard about any attacks but contemplated the possibility of drone attacks. Maybe there were attempts to intercept them. So if you heard explosions, most probably there were either manpads. Hard to understand what exactly sort of reconnaissance drones were used. Again, if there were small drones, I know that a lot of commercial drones use navigation lights like white, green, and red. Sometimes just green and red to indicate, the side of the drone. If they were fixed-wing drones, most probably the manpads were used to intercept them. So most probably that is the reason why you heard explosions. Maybe they were intercepted if they were like Orlan drones, for example, drones using the internal combustion engines, then they could be intercepted as well. May have been somebody local unfamiliar with drones, an insider. We can just guess, I don't know. A prototype maybe. Russians tend to mishmash with drone tech on 2016. Maybe. I feel like I aged 10 years in this last 4. We all feel the same, my friend. We all do. Have you got any news on the Huilo class submarine leaking oil in the Mediterranean? So, guys, for those who don't know, in the Mediterranean Sea there is currently a situation where a Russian submarine is leaking fuel. So, according to the most recent updates that we have, the Huilo class submarine, the Russian submarine, is there, and they have the situation when the fuel on board of the submarine, which means that most probably it's not a nuclear submarine, right? So the fuel is leaking into the compartment, and the sailors on board, the only thing they can do right now is to literally pump the fuel out of the compartment and into the ocean. It's really interesting to observe, actually, because yes, MOPS is called Huilo class submarine. It's really interesting to observe because if they're stuck there without any fuel, for example, if they lose their fuel and they will not be able to move, most probably they will need some kind of help from other countries, and we will see. Maybe Russians will be sending their ships to basically tow, if we can call it this way, tow that submarine back to the station, or maybe we will see something that would remind us of Russian Kursk submarine. If you remember this one, I believe it was like 2004, I think. The Russian Kursk submarine, a different class Huilo submarine, encountered some sort of explosion. It sank and laid down to the ocean bed. And though the sailors on board of the submarine, they were still alive, and they were knocking and trying to send Morse code through the sound. And actually, there were a lot of different ships that were proposed by other countries, NATO countries. There were ships that could actually save them. They had all the necessary equipment and stuff. But Russians, Putin specifically, told them not to do that. And it was interesting. And of course, because of that decision, all of the Russian sailors died on board. And yeah, so maybe we will see something like that here. Just arrived, bro. Good to see you still alive. Come on, what can happen to me, guys? Don't be overly dramatic. Everything's fine. Yeah, they refused help from the United States. Like generally, there were a lot of countries offering help. I remember Norway and Denmark, I think, as well. And Russians just refused because who needs to save lives in Russia is like ridiculous. Anyways, let's turn back to the updates. So we also have another update, and again, it's yesterday's update from Lithuania and Finland. So unknown drones were also spotted there. In Lithuania, 7 flights encountered problems because of the drones that were spotted in close proximity to the Vilnius airport. 4 flights were delayed. They had delayed takeoff, and 3 flights had delayed landing because of that. In Finland, a UAV incurred the space over the electro power plant in Rovaniemi. And the interesting fact is that the incident took place already last week, but it was only reported yesterday. That's, yeah, I'm curious. What do you see here on this photo, my dear friends? On this photo, you can see how the Russian Patriots, basically what the Russian Patriots looked like back in the early 90s. And what you're seeing on this picture, you see this man is taking those chicken legs. That is basically bush legs coming from the United States. And the only protein-based food that left in Russia back in those days were basically chicken legs coming from the United States. So as soon as they got a bit more fed, they decided to start the war against Georgia, against Ukraine and other countries, against Chechnya. Those are like, that's just so you could understand the essence of Russian fascism. And we have some question from Tristan. How do you deal with loss of life? I lost my brother last night. My friend, first of all, my condolences. That nothing will, unfortunately, nothing will make you feel better or cease this pain. I give you 100%, and you will always feel the loss. You will always feel that the person is still out there, but you can never meet again. I'm really sorry, and especially because it was your brother. It's absolutely tragic and terrible. Not much things will make this pain go away. but the only thing you can do is to communicate with people, talk to your friends, talk to our community here, because the worst thing you can do actually is to just isolate yourself and evade any contacts with the people. If you have this tragedy happening in your life, the only thing you can do is actually talk to others. That's the only thing that can make you feel better. I'm lacking the words. I'm sorry. Again, it's morning. My English is not that good at this time of day, but I'm just trying to explain that the only thing you can do to make you feel better, to make it to ease the pain, is talk to the community. Maybe there is, I'm sure actually that there is quite a few people out there who also lost their relatives, family members, and it actually helps. It actually helps. What helps me is to know that nothing is eternal and we will all go someday. My friend doesn't really help me because, yesterday I was like 30, today I'm 40, and there's war in Ukraine and upcoming war in Europe as well. And thinking of that doesn't make me happy. The only thing that makes me happier is actually food. Tristan, I tell you this. I don't know if you've been to some of my previous streams where I spoke about it. I had a very good friend who died in 2023 or 2022, I believe, back in Rubizhne. And he was a really good friend. He was very young. He was my subordinate in the beginning, and then he became a sergeant himself. And he was very, very young. He died during a shootout. Basically, he was wounded while our guys were withdrawing from their positions in Rubizhne. And he was wounded, and he started applying tourniquet and said that he will hold the orcs. And then the guys who witnessed how he died, they said that he was shot at point blank, and basically they couldn't get his body. And in Ukraine, we have this tradition of honoring our family members, honoring our friends who passed away, by literally gathering at 9th, at 40th day, and having like a drink together and food. And we just talk, we remember good things about this person. Usually we drink. It's like in 99% cases, like in 100% cases, like you drink, you have a glass of horilka, for example, or something like that, and you just drink. But because I don't drink at all, and basically majority of my guys, they were deployed, and I couldn't have this mourning much. So I mourned him myself, and what I did, I went to this place, Kharkivsky district of Kiev. They have this very, very, very good place where they serve things like sushi, miso soup, and things like that. And I took his pictures and I mourned him with sushi. And I know it sounds crazy, ridiculous, and fucking stupid, but at the same time, I was there just alone without anybody else. And probably, sometimes you need to serve yourself something that makes you feel better. If you feel psychological pain, I know, again, it sounds primitive and stupid, treat yourself with something good. that will make your body feel better, and that will of course make your soul feel better, and vice versa. If your body feels bad, try to treat yourself with something. Try to treat your soul with something good. With, I don't know, entertain yourself, talk to people you like, and your body will feel better as well, because our souls and our bodies, of course, they are connected. So that's like one of the advice that I can give you. Generally, in the army it's different, because in the army you deal with death a lot. And for example, as an officer, I had to speak with different people who lost their relatives, their fathers, their brothers. And when you deal with death in the army, usually you just turn off all the emotions, and because if you don't, it will just destroy you, because you're dealing with that on a daily basis, basically. And you have to switch off all of your emotions and act professionally. But it's so destructive, like generally for you as a person, it's really destructive. It's harmful, because eventually you just forget how to turn on those emotions back. My woman here says that among grumpy Slavs, I am probably the grumpiest one, because she always helps, like, what happened, but everything's fine. Generally, it's just the way I am. So, my friend, what I can say is that don't self-isolate. Try to treat you with something. Food is the most primitive thing, but it's the most helpful thing as well, because we all need to eat, and if it brings you at least some kind of joy, that's the only thing you can do. So, friends, switching to other updates. 20 days ago, during the Eastern Economical Forum, Putin said that they need to work to increase the incomes of the budget, but not by increasing the taxes. So on 24th of September, Putin announced increasing of the taxes. So the VAT in the terror Russia will be increased from 20 to 22%. The money will be spent on war. Each Russian will be paying more for any purchase, and that is basically the VAT is basically just a disguise for a war tax. Again, Russian media wrote that during his briefing, Putin unscrewed a pen, a ballpoint pen. If you cannot talk much about anything else, if you cannot talk about your schools falling apart, if you cannot talk about your citizens of Kolyma having no heating, no water, no firewood, if you cannot talk about the growing number of losses of your own troops in a war in a foreign country that nobody needs, the only thing you can talk about is basically Putin unscrewing a pen during a briefing. The news are absolutely amazing. You cannot find this in any other media, only in Russia. So, funny thing about this fact is that the office of the terror Russian president bought 120 pens, spending 1 million rubles for each pen, which means that the price of each pen is 68,000 rubles. Divided by 100, and you will have a price of each pen in dollars, all right? 78,000 rubles is basically $680 per pen. So, while speaking to the Russian public that pensions of the Russian citizens should grow from $220 to $230 per month, Putin unscrewed the pen that cost $680. That's all you need to know about Russian corruption. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. During the briefing with representatives of Ukrainian media, the chief of the General Staff of Ukraine, General Starsky, said that in the area of Dobropilla, where, remember, about a month ago, they tried to break through the lines of Ukraine's defense, and they went something like 10 or 20 kilometers deeper, places like Zoloty Kolodets, Vesele. So Russians are now basically encircled in that area, and Ukrainians basically lured them into trap. Interesting fact is that Russia is using 2 times more artillery shells than Ukraine, but Ukraine compensates this with precision of strikes and surveillance and reconnaissance. Again, according to the Russian field manuals, you need 12 shells to hit a target. According to the NATO standards of utilizing 155mm shells, systems like M777, etc., you only need 3, which basically means that Russia is, again, because Russia is still using the military doctrine that was introduced in like 1947, nothing changed. So Russia is spending more shells, and that is the answer to your question. Why is Russia lacking shells nowadays on the 4th year of the war, which is interesting. So the territory that was liberated from the Russian troops as of this moment is approximately 168 square kilometers. It's an update as of September 26, and the area that is cleared from the Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups is approximately 182 square kilometers. Over the past 2 months, 85 important targets were hit on the Russian territory, 33 military targets like warehouses, like ammo storages, arsenals, airfields, and aviation parked on the ramps. Also 52 the objects that are related to the war production, like oil facilities, plants, and military factories. Interesting thing to remember. And another update as of September 26 says that Danish airport again delayed flights on the night between 25th and 26th of September. Danish airport in Aalborg delayed flights because of the UAVs. So the police of the South Jutlandia, which is region on the north of the country, said that they could not confirm that the UAV was actually there, despite many messages suggesting that there were messages coming from the civilians, from the locals. Again, we can see that the number of those drone incursions will grow, and considering the last stream that we had, remember when there was incursion in Denmark and Norway, I think that one of the reasons is to basically sow chaos and disrupt the domestic and international flights. That might be one of the reasons. Might be sabotage in terms of aviation, in terms of the civilian aviation. I think This is what it looks like to me. So over the past 4 days, it was already third similar accident. Before that, there are also delays introduced in the airports of Aalborg, towns of Esbjerg, Sønderborg, and Billund on the south. And also Skridsdrup Air Base, where the Royal Air Forces are based, was also closed temporarily. Hungarian Gripen fighter jets intercepted 5 Russian airplanes over Baltics. 3 MiG-31 and fighter jets Su-30 and Su-35 were spotted flying over the Baltic Sea, not far from Latvia. And in response to this, the Hungarian Gripen fighter jets were scrambled from the airfield Šiauliai in Lithuania. It's good. It's good that, despite Orban and despite all that shit, Hungary still acts according to the NATO doctrine. Estonian trial sentenced a citizen of Narva to 5 years for espionage on behalf of Russia. So according to the investigation, Igor Lobin, starting from 2017, was transferring information to the FSB, information related to Organization of Estonian Defense, its internal security, its law enforcement, and also training, military training of the Estonian personnel, as well as transferring Estonian schools to the Estonian education, to the education in Estonian language. So the police reported that Lobin worked as a technical inspector. He didn't have access to secrets, but he had regular trips to the terrorist federation, and he had a separate phone used to message the Russian handler as if he was a distributor of fishing equipment. So he received some kind of minimal reward for that, and he is considered a classic ideological agent. A classic ideological agent is basically, you can imagine this vatnik Russian with like a portrait of Brezhnev or like Lenin in his room, or Putin in his bedroom, and basically working for the idea. The idea is basically Estonia belongs to Russia, great Russia from Atlantic to Pacific Ocean and shit like that. It's very interesting, but again, not surprising at all. And on September 26, the drones attacked Afipsky oil refinery in Krasnodarsky Krai of the Terrorist Federation. So the Russians again report that the debris falling on the Russian refinery caused this massive fire. There is like no casualties, and they say that there was just a tiny fire as huge as 30 square meters that was already eliminated. And Russian networks, Russian social media were publishing plenty of photos actually showing a fire on this Russian refinery. Yeah, we have another report about the Danish Aalborg airport that delayed its flights because of the UAVs And not far from the territorial waters of Denmark, a Russian warship was spotted. So Russian troop-carrying vessel Alexander Shabalin was spotted on the brink between the international waters and Danish territorial waters with its transponder turned off. So basically you could not trace this ship using the transponder signal, and the only way they used to expose to reveal this ship was using a helicopter. So the police of Denmark connects the fact that this ship was present there with the investigation of the drone attacks, of the drone incursions near the Danish airports. And this is something that I believe I talked about during the previous streams, that most probably if Russians used UAVs like Orlan, for example, or UAVs with rather short range, let's say operational, not tactical obviously, but operational drones, most probably they would either land them somewhere in like Leningrad, or they would use their own ships with transponders turned off to collect those drones and bring them back. Rick is going live from Free Azov in 1 hour. Maybe you can send our friends over when you are done here. Danke schön. Andreas, 100%. I won't be streaming long actually, because we're literally just checking out the recent updates. And my dear friends, if you are watching this, please check out in 1 hour, in 12 p.m. according to Berlin time. Please check out Rick's stream on Rick's channel, okay? What else? That's another very, very interesting update we have here. So in France, we also have reports about the unknown drones that were spotted over a base where Ukrainian soldiers were trained. So on September 25th, the information about the unknown UAVs was confirmed by the Department of Marne in France. This incident was called unprecedented, and it was also underscored that at this moment there is no information, no ground to state that other countries were involved, speaking about Russia, of course, but on the other hand, which countries could be involved if not Russia? Except for Austria. I blame Austria. Austria could be like sending those drones to, conduct surveillance of their brothers in arms, right? Austria, 100%. Or South Africa, for example. South Africa, 100%. I blame them. Yeah, Super FKV says the warship from Russia started moving when a newspaper rented a helicopter and found the ship. So that's another interesting update. Yes, Root Wolfer, the France, yeah. Can you tell us about Atesh partisans? Are they effective? Currently, Atesh partisans are searching and revealing information from Russian strategic facilities. Basically, those partisans involve a lot of Muslims, a lot of Crimean Tatars, a lot of people from Chechnya, a lot of proper people. And they basically provide Ukraine with plenty of intelligence, with plenty of reconnaissance data, surveillance data collected on Russian ships, Russian ports, docks, Russian Russian radars and other Russian military facilities. They are extremely effective, and actually, it's sometimes. For example, when Russians locate a lot of air defense systems in some specific region, right? And next day, Atesh publishes a lot of pictures, a lot of video footage, literally showing, those air defenses or like Russian missile stockpiles in that area. What Russians have to do? What sort of reaction do they expect? Of course, Russians have to relocate all that stuff that they concentrated in that area, which basically makes it more easy for Ukrainian defenders to strike it. So Atesh is like, those guys are just so good. They're just awesome. What more I can say? We have update coming from the Ukrainian newspaper that says that the number of people injured during the most recent Russian strike increased to 28 people in Kiev Oblast specifically. There are 3 kids among them. The number of people that were injured due to the strike on Zaporizhia increased to 31 person. Again, we have reports that 4 people unfortunately died due to tonight's strike. And also interesting information is that tonight's strike on Kyiv was transmitted live on YouTube. And online cameras actually showed some of the air defenses in Ukraine, some of the air defenses in Kyiv intercepting Russian drones and missiles, which is extremely harmful for Ukrainian defense, as you can probably understand. And we still have such cases, unfortunately. Russians, they're a different story, because Russians, as soon as there is something happening in Russia, good Ukrainian drones attacking Russian oil refineries, there's plenty of Russians outside with their phones, literally just, making footage of drones flying, because they know that those drones will not be striking Russian apartment buildings, residential complexes, so they feel pretty much safe and secure, and they make that footage because a lot of Russian Telegram channels actually pay for that footage. Here Rick says that it was pretty loud and long night in Kyiv. Yes, brother, I'm really, really happy that you're fine. Yes, in Ukraine it's a different thing, because Ukrainians know for it's a fact that Russian drones will be striking your kindergartens, your schools, your residential buildings. That is why we don't practice such thing as just making footage of that. Most Ukrainians want to survive. That is why they go to the bomb shelters and try to protect themselves and their loved ones. So that's a big cultural gap, again, between Russia and Ukraine. We have some footage from Petropavlovsk-Borshchehivka here as well. Some pretty devastating results of the Russian strike. Also, there are fires in Buchansky, in Bucha and Bila Tserkva, as I already mentioned. Here we have that data on the Russian drones and missiles that were intercepted. And basically, here you can see the map of the attack. You can see that, yes, majority of the drones and missile strikes, they were concentrated on Kyiv and Kyiv Oblast, also Zaporizhia. And that looks to me like Chernihiv. Not Chernihiv, Poltava, no. They were flying over Poltava. Chernihiv Oblast, Sumy Oblast, that general direction. So you can pretty much see the intensity of Russian strikes. Of course, it grew up big time. Russia, Moldova balance between Russia and Europe. Let me hold it like this for you. So we have approximately 50-50 regarding adding the EU accession to constitution. Approximately 50-50. I would say that it pretty much reflects Ukrainian data before the Russian invasion, or even like shortly before Russian invasion. Like Ukrainians wanted to become part of European Union, but at the same time, a lot of people from, say, brainwashed Donbass, I think that Rick can also confirm this one, Miroslav Burtovi here as well in the chat. Yes, so those people who lived on the East Ukraine and later started either fighting against us or actually moved from those occupied territories to Ukraine, deeper to Ukraine as internal refugees, they were primarily opposing this decision because the Russian television, the Russian media were very, very active in that area. That, again, speaking about the informational warfare, if you take places like Narva, for example, in Estonia, that is the picture that you can observe. So today we will be expecting Moldova to vote for its future. We will be expecting them to take some good decision, right? And the best decision they can take is vote for European Estonia, Moldova, vote for Moldova without Russian influence, because nobody wants to be friends with Russian terrorists, and Russia is basically the biggest threat to democracy and peace that we could observe since 1945. So I really, really hope that Moldova will vote properly, that they will take a proper decision that will be beneficial not only for Moldova but for everyone here. Also in terms of our collective security, I really, really hope that these elections will be good for everybody. With that, my dear friends, I think I will be wrapping this up. Please don't forget to check out Rick's stream very, very soon, because Rick will participate in the meeting supporting Azov, supporting the guys that are still in the Russian prisons. And I thank you so much for staying with me this morning. I hope that you have some really, really good coffee this morning, some snack. And despite the fact that the news were not really encouraging, at the same time we still have hope, and it's really good that we can meet this morning all together. Good guys gotta stick together. I was always saying that, and it's really good that we can still have some moments together. We can check out the news, we can share the recent gossips and recent updates from other countries. Guys, by the way, when we speak about those updates, if you live somewhere in the areas mentioned, please also let me know there in the chat. It's always important to receive information from the ground to have more broad spectrum, all right? So thank you so much. Be safe, and also big thanks to all the moderators, and big thanks to all the supporters of Ukraine, all the members of my channel. Again, I appreciate big time your support, all the donators. Thank you so much. We'll see you later, and have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.